Hi guys, Tom Hunt here in the kit room, and today we're going to be discussing soft plastics, but not only soft plastics, we're going to be discussing in depth the different tail types. All right, because I get this question quite a lot, and it's something that I think a lot of newbie people or maybe even advanced people, there's so many different lure types out there. You walk into a shop, the walls are just filled with different styles, different shapes, different tails, different colors, and it's quite a minefield. So today we're going to go through paddle tails and when they're best. We're going to go through curly tails and when they're best, and also V-tails or pintails. I put those in the same category, and when they're going to be best. All right, because there's quite a lot of different fishing scenarios out there. So the first one, let's talk about something like a classic Westin shad tease. All right, it's got itself a nice big paddle tail on there, and it's got itself a nice deep body. And for anyone that knows this lure, from the 7 centimeters right up to the bigger sizes, this is absolutely deadly, this lure. Loads of tail action, loads of body roll. All right, and it's a real, I would class this as kind of a power fishing shad. All right, so it is at the heavy end or the power end, and yeah, because of that, think of this like an engine. I've got to put a bit of energy, I've got to put a bit of fuel into this lure to get it to start working. If you've ever had this in the margins, running it through, if you're pulling it through, you'll get loads of action. But if it is on a really light jig head, you'll pause it, and when it falls really, really slowly, there's kind of not enough energy, there's not enough movement or speed in it to really get the action going. All right, so although this is a fantastic lure and everyone loves them, we know that paddle tails outsell all other types of tail type by a massive lion's share. We do know that they do have their downsides. So yeah, if you want to come down slightly into the finesse, look at baits like our paddle tail, like the Stanley, the stickleback, or the hyper tees, because they've got very, very thin wrists, much smaller tails, much smaller sort of disc surface area on the end of the tail, and they can be fished in much more finessey kind of ways, much slower, lighter jig heads, but they still can't, a paddle tail can still not really go as slow, in my opinion, as a good curly tail. That's when a curly tail has an advantage. So, my favorite pick is going to be if the shad tease is my favorite pick in a paddle tail, the bull tease curl tail is going to be my favorite in the curl tail. It's got an absolutely amazing profile to it. It's got these little fins, but more importantly, the tail is so thin. Like this one here on the smallest version, it must only be 0.5 mil thick. And because it's so thin, as soon as you put that through some water, it just has this automatic mesmerizing kind of action to it. And that's when they're best. They're absolutely incredible when the water's cold and you want to fish a really light jig head and you want some action out of that lure. On the way up, it's going to be moving, and then even on the slowest fall, you're going to get some sort of movement out of it. Because you don't have to put too much energy into this to get it to move. That does mean that it's also not pumping out loads of energy. Like this guy, for example, he is ringing the dinner bell. He is ringing the ice cream truck. He's playing that ice cream truck tune. Do, 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 come and get it. All right. There's loads of vibration, loads of noise coming out of this one. For a curly tail, that's not the advantage you're getting. It's much more finessey, much more subtle. But because of that, I wouldn't typically use them in very coloured water. There's not enough kind of presence. When their eyesight is really reduced, if there's a lot of muddiness or cloudiness or sort of dirtiness in the water, they're just going to struggle to find something like a curly tail, because like I said, it's at the finesse end, it's not at the power end. All right, so again, it's always horses for courses. I always say this on my channel: whether it's a crankbait, a jerkbait, a spinnerbait, a plastic, a curly tail, you know, V-tail or paddle tail, whatever it is, every single lure has something unique about it. So our job as successful lure anglers is always to try and understand, when is this better than that? When is this better than that? When is it better than a crankbait? Is it water temperature? Is it water color? Is it the species that I'm going for? All right. So for me, a curly tail has that finesse. You can fish it super slow, absolutely deadly in the winter. And like I said, everyone fishes a paddle tail. Offer them something a little bit different. So whether you're perch fishing with something small like that, whether you're going up to your pike, big pike lures, try some curly tails. They're absolutely deadly. Then finally, moving on to, this is our new Twin Tees pelagic, and it's got a V-tail. Now the greatest thing about a V-tail is you're obviously attached. If you're vertical fishing, you're coming straight down, normally from the boat, you're attached here, and because you can work the lure very, very slowly, you get this amazing action to it. All right, again, it's like nothing else. On a paddle tail, it's going to have body roll and the tail's going to be going. On a V-tail, you've got it like this, and on a curly tail, you've got it like this. So they're completely different actions, completely different vibrations, and have different uses. The other time I would use a V-tail is potentially in the summer. So you can get your sort of V-tail flukes, get yourself some quite pointed, sharp-nosed jig heads, and they work like a soft plastic jerkbait. Because there's no resistance from paddle tail, there's no break at the back of the lure. So when you snap the rod, you can actually get that darting sort of jig head to move around quite a bit, similar to a jerkbait. They can be absolutely deadly, those V-tails and pintails. But I've got to be honest, I don't fish those a huge amount. But again, in the right scenarios, they can be brilliant. The last time that I will use the final scenario that I'll use a V-tail or a pintail will be as a trailer on a chatterbait. Same thing again, there's no resistance at the back, so I get all of the soft plastic profile, I get all of the vibration from the front of the chatterbait, but because there's no resistance from a paddle tail or a curly tail for that matter, it allows that chatterbait to really hunt around and dive around. If you put a chatterbait on and it's got a paddle tail as a trailer, tends to run very straight. If you put a V-tail or a fork tail or a pintail as a trailer, it tends to naturally hunt around and be a little bit more erratic. Okay, so there we go, guys. You love your paddle tails, we know that, so carry on with them, but just understand there's the smaller, thinner wrists are much better at slower speeds and finesse situations. The bigger paddle tails with thicker wrists, deeper bodied sort of baits are much better for power fishing. Your curly tails like the bull tees are very, very good when the water's cold. You want something a little bit different. You want a different sort of mesmerizing action, or you want to fish super lightweight on your jig heads. You're going to get movement out of this the whole time. And your V-tails are vertical fishing, chatterbait trailers, and yeah, like a sort of a soft plastic jerk bait with the right style jig head on as well. So there you go, guys. Hopefully I've unpacked a little bit about the difference between soft plastic tails there. If you've got any comments, stick them below. I never normally ask, but I watch loads of different YouTube videos and they're always saying like and subscribe. I'm a bit the opposite. If you like my content, go for it, like and subscribe. And if you're not that bothered, don't worry about it. We're all just here to learn. I enjoy my conversations with you guys in the comments below. I try and get back to everyone, and I really, really love just constantly talking about lure fishing on this channel. All right, I'm a bit obsessive about it, but I just hate that hard sell that you get on most of the other ones. Oh, like and subscribe, all that sort of stuff. So if you want to, go for it, and if you don't want to, no worries from me. I'm having a good time anyway. Anyway, guys, I'll see you on the next one.